Serious things are happening with the volatility on the stock of the supermicrocomputer. Take a look at this discrepancy. Also, an incredible event regarding volatility smile. The volatility smile screams where the stock of the supermicrocomputer will be headed. Let's break it down in detail. Where could the stock of the supermicrocomputer go next? Let's start over. Over the past month, it has literally grown by 230%, a very serious growth. As we can see, there was a very serious spike in volatility. It was provoked by the report plus naturally gamma compression. Yes, it's not short compression. Specifically gamma compression, when the market maker had to hedge the sold call option with the underlying contract. And since our gamma grows exponentially, they needed to hedge that delta and buy as much stock as possible to make the delta neutral position. And since the stocks are rising, the delta is also rising, and they needed to buy. And it was because of this that such an incredible shift in price occurred. Next, we had a pullback, and then we had volatility calm down, and everything started to settle down until this stock was included in the SP 500. What do we need to understand? These are our strikes. As we can see, the main strikes are concentrated at the $1,000 level. And the most interesting thing, the nearest strike is exactly on March 8th. That is this week. A very large volume. What does this imply? This implies only one thing. Either we break through 1,000 and start flying upward again on the same gamma compression, because we have very, very serious contracts. Options are bought. Either the market maker stabilizes the position, sales begin, and consequently, the stock doesn't go any further. I remind you, I assume that either it was the peak on February 16th or we are getting close to the peak. Again, I remind you, according to my philosophy, I don't know how to predict stock prices. My task is to manage the position competently, and I will definitely tell you what I personally would do with this stock. We will build an option strategy, how to play it out. But again, I cannot predict stock price movement. I have an idea where it might go. Solely, we analyze options and volatility. In my opinion, this is the most important thing in this market. Again, my forecast remains absolutely unchanged. As I said, the movement is most likely coming to an end. Coming to an end doesn't mean it will end today or tomorrow, or the day after tomorrow, right? It means that the growth potential is not very great. And I'll explain my position. The question is what to do with this stock. I answer, I don't have this stock in any portfolio. Here you can consider the mathematical expectation and what a really savvy trader would do. The question is, can the stock grow to $1,200 to $1,300? Theoretically, anything is possible. Again, according to a very large accumulated volume of contracts. But the question is where it can correct to. Well, we see that not long ago it was at $700. I mean, at the moment, the risk-to-reward ratio is very much against the investor. Of course, it can still grow. But from the risk-to-reward ratio perspective, the profit is not on the side of the investor. I repeat once again. That's why I would advise you by no means to trade this stock. If you ask me how to make money on the stock, I'll tell you stay away from it. Why am I saying that? Because if you are not a professional, if you don't know how to hedge your position through options, and as we can see, the volatility is very high now, and it will be very difficult to hedge. Consequently, you are most likely to lose money on this stock. The most amusing thing, you will lose money wherever you step in. If you go long or if you decide open a short position on this stock, then you may lose in both cases because you will need to set a stop. And with such high volatility, most likely you will be knocked out of that stop. So making money on this stock is extremely difficult at the moment. It began its growth due to the news of this stock being included in the SP 500. And let me remind you what I think about it. I've already analyzed the fundamentals of this company in detail in this video. But let me repeat, the company is very good. It has very solid profit growth, revenue growth. The company is extremely promising, but it has the main problem. This is its colossal high cost, $62 billion. It earns less than $1 billion. Its metrics are just incredibly expensive. Again, the stock is not flat, but it is extremely expensive. Let me draw an analogy. If the Ford F-150 cost not $40,000, but for example, $400,000. You see, the car is good, no one denies it, but for $400,000, it doesn't make sense to buy. That's not its price. Do you understand what I'm saying? The same goes for this stock. What about inclusion in the SP 500? It's always greatly saddened me. Of course, someone might say that I have an outdated view of the world, too conservative, but personally, in my opinion, including this stock in the SP 500 with such incredible metrics may further harm the SP 500 index. How exactly would it harm? But you need to understand that at the moment, the SP 500 index is controlled by passive funds, such as SPY funds and VU from Vanguard, for example, Invesco, BlackRock from JP, and all other banks. They will buy this stock. Forcibly buy this stock, it's just wasted money. And who, at this moment, do you think, who will these passive funds sell this stock to later? Who will it be? Well, of course, market professional. These passive funds bought an expensive stock and naturally it will correct. And what will this help the SP 500 in the future? Such expensive companies, in my opinion, will only harm the SP 500. And the more such, well, obviously bubbles will gather in the SP 500 index, but at least for now, it looks like a bubble. The harder it will be for the SP 500 index to grow and feel in the future. That is, the SP 500 index will buy super expensive companies. Well, personally, this greatly upsets me. Write in the comments if this upsets you too. Well, let's move on to volatility and analysis of this company. What do we have in terms of volatility? A very interesting point. As we can see, some strikes are going in different directions. Therefore, the volatility of the strike in April is increasing. The nearest strikes are falling in volatility. This can create a favorable environment for volatility trading. Let's also look at the volatility smile. It is extremely skewed towards puts. Pay attention to this. Again, I do not change my opinion that the potential for stock growth is coming to an end. These charts testify to this. We can also look at 3D volatility. Professionals will immediately understand what's what here. We have a distortion here specifically towards a downward movement. When it will start is unknown, but please pay attention to that. Do not neglect this key data. I've already said everything about strike. Now let's build a strategy. As promised, we will build an interesting strategy on options. According to this volatility, you can sell the nearest volatility and buy the furthest volatility. Let's see what can be done. We have an interesting strategy for the bounce. What in the near future? As you can see, the profitability profiles. Who understands this will immediately understand everything. Who doesn't won't understand, but nothing terrible. There will be a lot of useful content. As we can see, no matter where the price goes, we make a profit. That's the most important thing. That is, you can build a strategy in such a way that you will make a profit no matter where the price goes, but you must manage. Because at some point, if the price goes down very sharply, then you will incur losses. So you need to rebuild the position very appropriately at that moment. And so that you receive income from it, even when it hits. Therefore, again, my logic is what? And I want to reiterate once again, you need to learn to do this so that no matter where the price goes, you make a profit. That's the secret to success. There's no other secret. I don't know how to predict price movements. The price can go anywhere no matter. So build a strategy so that you make a profit in any case, all bingo. And you don't worry anymore. You can't even not pay attention and see what's going on there. The most important thing is to manage in time. That's all. Be sure to watch this video. Here I fully analyze the fundamental analysis of this stock. And here you will understand everything. Goodbye.